Alright, what is up, you guys? Back with a review of a film that I wanted to wait until it came out on home media to do a review. I wanted to get a closer look, be able to, kind of rewind some scenes, and that is Halloween 2018. I do enjoy the Halloween franchise, not all the sequels, but overall it's probably my favorite horror franchise. The filmmakers decided to put aside all of the sequels, the Rob Zombie remake, his sequel, and just do a direct sequel to the original 1978 John Carpenter film. And have it take place 40 years later. Okay, cool. No problem with that. Let's see what happens. Overall, I mean, I'll get more in depth at the end of the video. Overall, I thought the film was okay. I didn't hate it. I didn't think it was the most fantastic thing. But let's go through some of the things that worked for me and some of the things that didn't work for me in the film. The biggest thing that worked for me was Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode. Just a great performance. You could really tell how the events from 1978 have affected her, how she kind of became frozen in time, and she just couldn't get out of that mindset of what happened. You can tell by the way she dresses, kind of by her appearance, by her actions, everything. She had 2 failed marriages. Her daughter Karen was taken away when she was 12. Laurie was deemed an unfit mother, and even kind of through all this, she still had that focus of, Michael's going to come back, I got to get ready for him. And one kind of interesting thing was, if you looked closely in Laurie's bedroom in the 2018 film, there were quite a few similarities. It's like she just kind of took her teenage bedroom and brought it along into 2018. So that was kind of fun to see what the filmmakers put in there as little Easter eggs. And I know there were a lot of Easter eggs, regarding the sequels, but I'm just they were fine. I'm just gonna ignore those for now. My favorite scene in the film, probably by far, was the dinner scene in the restaurant. I liked the look of it to start, but then, because you had Karen, you had Karen's husband Ray, which we'll get into later, Allison, the granddaughter, and then Allison's boyfriend Cameron, who is Lonnie's son from the original film. And they're celebrating the National Honor Society ribbon or sash or whatever it is she got, and Laurie comes in, and I thought it was very sweet how Jamie Lee Curtis played it, because she was so proud, and it was the only time you saw her smile in the film, so it kind of took her back to a place where she had happiness in her life, which was way back in high school. So that was neat, and just the performance of Jamie Lee Curtis, it kind of sucked that Karen and Ray were kind of shaming her, you got to get over this shit. Let's move on with your life. But you could tell how she just broke down. She didn't even know how to behave. And she called Michael the shape. And then they played the classic music. Very good. I really enjoyed that scene quite a bit. I also like how Laurie wasn't dumbed down for the sequel. She was a smart young woman in the original, and she's a smart woman now, 40 years later. They didn't try to dumb her down. It was also interesting how we saw all 3 generations, how they were affected by the events 40 years ago. Obviously, we see how Laurie was affected, but then also, she had the 2 failed marriages. Karen, I believe, is a therapist. She seems like a bright lady, yet she's with Ray, who's, once again, we'll get into in a little bit, but maybe not the brightest cookie. Anyway, so maybe she kind of has bad taste in men. And then if you go down another generation, you've got Allison, and Allison's dating Lonnie's boy, who turns out not to be, albeit he's a teenager, but he turns out not to be the best dude either. So it really kind of just, you've got mentally it's affected the three generations, but also, you know, in their personal lives. And I think that's what made kind of the ending stronger. I know some people didn't like the ending, like we needed a character killed off, and I'm not disagreeing with that. We probably did need a character killed off, but it was nice to see all three generations kind of come together at the end of the film. It almost felt like this 2018 version was kind of a mirror image of the original. And by that, I'm going to show you guys some examples. We had so many, like, not copycat, that's kind of the wrong word, but, you know, the same imagery and the same scenes presented to us. You know, I looked up what mirror images mean in film, and it was defined as flipped version of reality and duality. Character, location, and scene repetition duality. So that kind of makes a little bit of sense. I didn't mind, you know, some of the scenes being kind of copied over. So really the main thing that I enjoyed was Jamie Lee Curtis's performance. The farther you got from her character, the weaker the film got. So let's go over some of the things that did not work for me. First up is Michael Myers showing his face showing his face, period, but showing it so early in the film, like before the title card even came up, they showed Michael's face. I just think that may have been a big mistake for a couple reasons. You know, the original, and you can really see it when you watch the two movies back to back. The original, there was so much, it was ominous, and you didn't quite know, was Michael a boogeyman? Was he supernatural? You know, what the hell was he? Was he human? Was he a combination of everything? And they kind of shot him in shadows or far away, so you weren't quite sure what the hell was going on with this guy. But this one, straight up, you know, you got a close-up shot, or like in the original, you would get like the back shot of Michael, so you would just see like the back of his shoulder or the shot up to his head. You know, on top of the fact that, you know, Michael got stabbed with a knitting needle. He got the hanger in his eye. He got stabbed in the stomach or chest area, and then he got shot 6 times. So that really kind of kept you wondering what's going on. The beginning of the new one, it's kind of like, oh, okay, he's just a 61-year-old dude. The mystique was taken away, and you sort of related to him a little bit, like, oh, okay, he's a guy. I believe someone on the original film, on the commentary track, stated that, you know, you never got too familiar with the monster. Very true. And this one is like, okay, here we are, there he is, we're going to become familiar with him right away. I didn't like that. You know, in the newer film, there were a couple scenes that were really cool where you had Michael farther away, or you had him in the shadows, and it was a little mysterious. But there were not enough of those at all. And with showing kind of the side of his face and his hair and his beard, when you show that in the beginning, it takes away any of the mystery. The original also shined, like, so wonderful with building anticipation. And this one, I mean, maybe you had a couple scenes that built up some anticipation. You know, when with the bus crash, when it tipped over, and Grandpa, Dad, and Lumpy were there. They come upon the bus. It's like, okay, you know Michael's there somewhere, so there's some anticipation, like, okay, where is he? So that was okay. The scene where Oscar, one of the teenage friends, where he was in the yard and Michael's kind of off in the distance, but yeah, that was all right. But then you have a scene like the babysitter scene where the girl with the yellow sleeves, yeah, she got it. And even if you hadn't, like, the trailer gives away that scare, but even if you hadn't seen the trailer, you knew Michael was in that closet. There was no anticipation build up there. It's like, okay, he's in the closet. Big whoop. So it's almost like they kind of put in that scene to copy having a babysitter scene from the original. I don't know. They needed more suspense, more buildup of that, of the anticipation. Like, where's Michael? What's he gonna do? Next up, what didn't work for me, and it's not like his character logically worked fine in the movie, and that is Dr. Sartain. It just didn't work for me. I think they made his motives pretty clear, but I didn't like it. He was a little too off the rails. And once again, we kind of have that mirror effect where Dr. Loomis was so passionate, about keeping Michael locked up, keep him in. And Dr. Sartain is like, he's passionate about getting Michael out. Let's see what he does in the wild. So we kind of have the opposites there. I would have rather seen Dr. Sartain just taken out of the movie altogether, delete his character. And, maybe just have Michael, when Loomis died, let's just say no one picked up Michael's case. They're like, you know what, this guy's nuts. He just kind of lives in Smith's Grove, and that's it. And kind of continue the story from there. I would rather have seen Officer Hawkins and, hold on, the sheriff has a name, Sheriff Barker. I would rather see them with expanded roles. Officer Hawkins, they tell you that he has a connection to the original film. He was on scene when the murders happened, and he was there to hunt Michael down. I would have rather have seen that role expanded and maybe him not killed off in the end. The teenage characters, they were fine. The Halloween dance, I'm not quite sure. The Halloween dance maybe served two purposes, possibly to show that Cameron, the boyfriend, was a jerk. But they kind of they could have established a different way, but that, and also getting Allison, getting her phone out of the picture. They could have done that a lot of different ways. The dance was all right. Maybe I would have rather have seen all the teenage friends together. It's Halloween, maybe they're having a little party, shenanigans are happening, Michael stumbles across the house, and it just so happens that Allison is there because fate plays a huge part in both of these movies. They make it abundantly clear in those two classroom speeches. So Michael was going to get to Laurie no matter what. And then there were a couple things that just bothered me. How did Allison, at the end of the film, how did Allison get onto Laurie's property? Not only was she running through the woods, so I'm assuming she knew how to get to Laurie's, her house. She's running through the woods for a solid 10 minutes. So she knows how to find the house, but why didn't Laurie have, barbed wire gate or fence around the house? Like, how did Allison get there? Whatever. And then the mannequin, there's a quick scene where Allison trips and she stumbles upon all the mannequins, and there's like real quick cuts of her sitting with the mannequins. Dumb. And then the scene with the two police officers in the car talking about the whatever sandwiches they were talking about, and the other guy has a brownie. Highly unnecessary. Seriously, that was just dumb. There's even a deleted scene which I can't even believe they shot. That was just straight up stupid. If you have the DVD or the Blu-ray, check it out. You guys will know which one I'm talking about with Dr. Sartain. And then Ray's character was just dumb. His humor was dumb. Maybe that was the point. Maybe it was the point to kind of show that the men aren't going to play a huge part in these women's lives. Now the big question is, where does the next film go? Now this one, I looked it up, it was made for, let's see, hold on, $10 to $15 million, and it made over $250 million worldwide. They'd be silly not to make another one because it made a gang of money. There's a couple different ways the next movie could go. You could pick up right where this 2018 one left off, with the three ladies in the back of the truck, and just kind of have the chase continue. Or you could pick it up 1, 2, 3 years later and kind of the same formula again. Either way, Laurie needs to go. Laurie Strode needs to die, have a respectable death. It's time for that character, to say bye-bye to Halloween. It's time. And give her a respectable death. She's deserved it. Not just for Jamie Lee Curtis, but, to have respect for the character. I'm thinking maybe you have Karen. So in the sequel, I think Karen should die pretty quickly in the next one. Then you have Laurie and granddaughter Allison for the remainder of the film. Maybe Laurie dies protecting Allison. Something to that effect. And then have that be the end of the Strode storyline for Halloween. Don't make another one with these folks in it anymore. Which then leads you to think, okay, what happens with the next one? Now, because we talked about it earlier, because they showed Michael's face, you see that he's aging, the mystique is gone. Audiences, and especially horror fans, because horror fans are passionate. If anything, they're so passionate. They're going to be like, listen, Michael's 61. When the next one comes out, he'll be like, whatever, 63, 64. How much longer is he going to be able to do this? Because you've taken the mystique away, right? After the next one, it's going to have to go to a full reboot. And I'm really okay with that. Start with a brand new story. Have some really smart people come in, or some really creative people come in, come up with a whole new storyline for Halloween, so it can sustain, so you can have multiple movies, have a whole new generation come in with Halloween. It would be the smart thing to do. You gotta let Laurie and that whole story end. So that's kind of where I see it going. I don't know how else you would be able to do it otherwise. But overall, the movie's fine. I had a good time with it. I mean, out of 10, I'd probably give it like a 7. It wasn't horrible. I watched it like 3 or 4 times, kind of taking notes. But, it was fine. And I'm eager to see kind of where horror goes from here. We've got another Child's Play. And hopefully we'll get, the other big guns out. Get another Freddy, get another Jason. We'll see where it goes from here. But I do look forward to seeing at least one more movie with Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode. But those are my thoughts. Let me know. I know everyone's really passionate about Halloween 2018. So be nice. I respect everyone's opinion. If you didn't like it, cool. If you loved it, cool. Whatever. That's what film's about. So let me know your thoughts down below. I will catch you guys next time, and take care.